The ghost of the person you could have been is the most terrifying thing you will ever encounter. But they are also your greatest motivation. The door to the afterlife doesn't look like a pearly gate or a descent into fire. It looks like a quiet, sterile waiting room with fluorescent lights that hum just a little too loud. You're sitting there, hands on your knees, feeling lighter than you have in decades. The ache in your lower back is gone. The heaviness in your lungs has evaporated. You're dead, and strangely, you're okay with it. You did your time. You worked the jobs, paid the mortgage, watched the sunsets, and eventually, your heart just ran out of beats. Then the door across from you opens. A person walks in. They look exactly like you, but the proportions are off in a way that makes your stomach drop. They're the same height, same eyes, same jawline, but they carry themselves with a terrifying level of ease. Their skin isn't just healthy, it's vibrant. Their eyes don't have that dull, flickering, checked-out look you've carried since your 30s. They sit down in the plastic chair opposite you. Who are you, you ask? Your voice sounds thin. The stranger smiles, and it's a smile that could move mountains, on the version of you that wasn't afraid. A ghost in the room. This is the ghost of the person you could have been. They aren't a billionaire. They aren't a superhero. They're just you, but they made every single decision you were too terrified to make. While you stayed in that stable job you hated for 25 years because you were scared of a resume gap, they quit. While you stayed silent when you should have stood up for yourself, they spoke. While you let someday become a graveyard for your dreams, they lived in the now. Looking at them feels like being punched in the gut. It's not jealousy, it's grief. You realize that for 70 or 80 years, you weren't just living your life. You were actively strangling a better version of it. The anatomy of play it safe. Think back to when you were 20. You had that idea, that business, that trip, that person you wanted to call. Remember the physical sensation in your chest? That tightness. That was fear. Most people think fear is a warning sign to stop. But for this person sitting across from you, fear was a compass. You think to yourself, I can't quit this job. What if I fail? What if I can't pay rent? But the ghost asks a different question. What if I stay? What if I spend 40 hours a week for 40 years doing something that makes me want to die inside? The ghost realized that security is a lie we tell ourselves so we don't have to do the hard work of being brave. The ghost understood that the worst-case scenario wasn't being broke, it was being boring. It was being untapped, being unfulfilled, being less. The weight of the no. Every time you said no to an opportunity because you felt unready, this ghost said yes. They took the stage even when their hands were shaking. They moved to the city where they didn't know a soul. They told that person they loved them, even though they knew they might get their heart shattered. As you sit in that waiting room, you start to see the highlights of their life projected on the walls. You see them failing, hard. You see them embarrassed, crying, and losing money. But in every frame, they are vibrant. Even their failures have more color than your successes. Why? Because their failures belong to them. Your successes were just the result of following a script someone else wrote for you. You lived a life of fine. They lived a life of fire. The most dangerous risk of all is the risk of spending your life not doing what you want on the bet you can buy yourself the freedom to do it later. Here's the comparison. Look at your hands. Now look at theirs. Your hands are scarred by the friction of holding on too tight to things that didn't matter. Their hands are scarred from reaching for things that did. You realize the tragedy isn't that you died. The tragedy is that you lived so little while you were alive. You treated your life like a dress rehearsal. You thought you were saving your energy for some big, main event that was supposed to happen in the future. But the ghost knows the truth. The main event is always happening. Every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. was the main event. Every awkward conversation was the main event. Every time you felt that spark of curiosity and doused it with, I don't have the time, you were killing a piece of the ghost. The conversation you never had. The ghost leans forward. Why didn't you do it? They ask. No judgment, just pure, heartbreaking curiosity. I was scared, you whisper. Scared of what? of what people would think, of being humiliated, of losing what I had. The ghost nods slowly. And what do you have now? You look around the empty, sterile room. You have nothing. You couldn't take the house with you. You couldn't take the retirement fund. You couldn't take the respectable reputation you spent decades cultivating. The only thing you could have brought with you were the memories of who you became. And as you look at the ghost, you realize they are carrying a treasure chest of experiences while you're standing there with empty pockets. The cost of comfort. We are taught that comfort is the goal. We want the comfortable chair, the comfortable salary, the comfortable relationship. But comfort is where dreams go to rot. This ghost sitting across from you, the person you could have been, never prioritized comfort. They prioritize growth. And growth is inherently uncomfortable. It feels like stretching. It feels like breaking. It feels like being a fool. You spent your life avoiding being the fool. As a result, you died a stranger to your own potential. Can you still catch up with the ghost? Is it too late for you? Or past the point of no return? Could you still turn things around in your life? If you are reading this, or watching it, or listening to my words, you aren't in that waiting room yet. Your heart is still pushing blood through your veins. You still have the ability to feel fear. That means the ghost hasn't fully separated from you yet. Right now, the person you could have been is hovering just a few inches away from your skin. They are waiting for you to make a move that scares the hell out of you. They are waiting for you to stop asking for permission to exist. The haunting starts now. Every time you hesitate, you feel the ghost shiver. Every time you settle for good enough, the ghost grows a little more transparent, a little more distant. You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need a mentor. You don't need more money. You just need to stop being a coward. You need to look at your life and realize that the safe path is actually the most dangerous one, because it's the only one that guarantees you'll meet that ghost with a heart full of regret. Here's the choice you have. Imagine the end again. The room, the lights, the chair. When that door opens, who is going to walk in? Will it be a stranger who makes you weep for what you lost? Or will it be a twin? Will you be able to look at that person and say, I know you. We did it all. We took the hits. We made the mistakes. And we didn't leave a single drop of life on the table. The ghost of the person you could have been is the most terrifying thing you will ever encounter. But they are also your greatest motivation. Stop trying to be successful. Start trying to be the person who isn't afraid of their own shadow. Go and be the ghost.